Tell us a little bit more about how leaders are evolving. Mm-hmm.
What I notice across the board is that when leaders are taking good care of themselves, just like you mentioned when you're working with the entrepreneur, when
Mm-hmm.
leaders are really focused on their own vision and purpose beyond the organization, when their own thriving, their own well-being, their
Mm-hmm.
own life and work practices that help them stay balanced, self-regulated, etc., they are better at creating those environments for others. So
Yeah.
what I just said is, when we're in an airplane and the people that are supporting us on that airplane, the stewardess, the stewards, when they say put your oxygen mask on first before you put the oxygen mask on someone else,
Right.
that principle we really do see often, that
Nice.
you have to, as someone in the role of manager, you are always radiating something.
Hello, my extraordinary women friends. I'm just coming off of 4 powerful days of in-person client gatherings. First, my equine vision journey retreat with the horses, followed by my platinum mastermind business retreat. These women aren't just dreaming about impact. They're building it. I love it so much. They are no longer waiting. They are no longer questioning or sitting around tweaking behind the scenes. They're showing up, speaking up, and leading the change they're here to make in a world that needs their wisdom right now. And this has me reflecting. Have you ever paused to ask yourself, not just how you're leading, but why? And more importantly, are you thriving in the process? In today's episode of Extraordinary Women Radio, we are exploring what it truly means to thrive as a leader in a world that's asking more of us than ever. I'm joined by Renee Moorefield, who is the CEO of WisdomWorks Group and founder of the Be Well, Lead Well platform. Her work has guided leaders from Nike, Mars, the Coca-Cola Company, and beyond to redefine success through the lens of well-being. Renee believes that thriving isn't a luxury. It's a leadership strategy. In our conversation, she shares wisdom on what it takes to be a thriving leader, why burnout leadership is broken leadership, and how we can build organizations and lives where people and purpose flourish together. And speaking of thriving leaders, that's exactly what we're gathering at this year's 11th annual Extraordinary Women Ignite Conference. This is for the women who are done waiting, who know they're here to make waves, not someday, but now. If you are ready to raise your voice, claim your visibility, and lead your business with more clarity, confidence, and prosperity on your terms, then you don't want to miss this year's event. Early bird tickets are available at CamiGellner.com/ignite. Come stand in the room with other women who are answering the call to lead. Now let's dive into this rich and relevant conversation with the extraordinary Renee Moorefield. Well, welcome to Extraordinary Women Radio, Renee. I'm excited to have you today.
Thank you for the invitation. This is really wonderful.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's like we had some mutual acquaintances that were connecting us, and we got an opportunity to connect a while back, and I was just like, oh, we need to tell your story and learn more about. I always love these interviews because I get to learn more about what got you to this place that you're at, and also learn more of your good wisdom. So that's where we'll go today. Let's start with your story and what led you to dedicate your career to the science and strategy of human living. Was there like a specific moment that sparked that path for you? I mean, just give us that pathway into the work that you're doing today.
Yeah. Thank you for that. We really focus on the science of what enables us to thrive, what
Mm-hmm.
enables us to show up fully alive, vital, whole. A long time ago, this would be probably 35 to 40 years ago now, so a very long time ago, I really thought that I would go down the path of medical because I thought that medical path was like being a doctor or an osteopath, something like that, would be a place that I could support people in building their capability for their
Mm-hmm.
well-being and really
Oh,
tapping into their
interesting.
well-being.
Yeah.
So
You
I
were
was
already tapping into that outcome, but in a different way.
in a very, very different way. I didn't really understand how the medical system was set up. that it really is set up. And I believe much of the medical system is still set up more for sick care and emergency care, not
Yeah.
necessarily for wellness and well-being and what it means to thrive. But that
Yeah.
was the path I was going on. I pretty quickly learned, because I worked with 6 cardiologists for a while, and I was doing exercise and diet prescriptions for people, heart patients. And I realized I don't want to be downstream in this process. I'd really want to be about capability building, about people making life choices, work choices from a place of knowing themselves and believing in their innate capacity to thrive. Because
Yep.
I believe that's biologically hardwired within us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, again, I didn't have all these words. This is words from 40 years later of being in the
Yes,
field.
exactly.
But at that time, but I was following my intuition more than anything else, following my gut. That got me into the corporate world, and I realized that the role in the corporation, that their job was to steward the conditions where people could show up fully and well and effective, really thriving, was the role of the manager. An effective manager, a really good leader,
Mm-hmm.
knew how to bring out the best in people. And
Totally.
I got an opportunity to be in different leadership roles and realized that is what I loved doing, was
On the
being in the
leadership
role
side.
on the leadership side, not so much being the expert in a particular subject, but more creating an environment where everyone could bring their expertise and we could create something together that we could not create alone. I loved that. Um, I worked in a number of global companies, and then about 26 years ago started WisdomWorks, because I could see that organizations, there was a whole nother science emerging around the science of human thriving,
Mm-hmm.
the flourishing, what that really means, that we had been talking about earlier, but didn't have all the data and the kind of the foundational work behind it. And that was emerging. And I wanted WisdomWorks to uniquely bring that to leaders, to help them develop themselves, to help them develop teams, to help them develop work cultures. So that's what we have been doing for the last 26 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've been doing that, and you tell us more about just like what the structure and the impact of your organization has been.
The structure of the organization, we have a couple of things. There's lots of ways to answer this question.
Mm-hmm.
Two things. One, part of our work is direct to organizations. Most of the work that we've done has been with global organizations. We're
Mm-hmm.
not consultants. We don't go in, take a look at things, advise, and then leave. We're
Mm-hmm.
capacity builders. So we have a network of executive coaches, organizational development people, people who are really schooled in leadership and organization culture building. And we bring those in to help a client make a step change in how they're operating, so that they are not just more effective, but truly in an environment where everyone can thrive. And that as
Right.
leaders, they're thriving themselves. So
Right.
that's part of our business. The other part of our business is we certify people to do the work we do.
Right.
So we have a network of about 240 people around the world. So that's the two aspects, two pieces of our business. We have a small team, and we bring in that network as we have large client projects in different places of the world.
I love it. I love that you've taken into training others in doing the work, and I think that's a really important distinction for the work that you do.
That's probably for me, as much as I absolutely adore, because we're a capacity building
Mm-hmm.
organization, we
Mm-hmm.
develop long-term relationships with clients, that
Right.
our core principle for our company, our core value is relationship before business. So for
Yeah.
us, having a really healthy, productive relationship, a learning relationship, matters before getting work done. And
Mm-hmm.
it's through work that we can build that kind of partnership.
Yeah.
So, um, as much as I love that work with our clients, the work to build other people's capacity to do this work,
Right.
which I think, given the kind of turbulence and complexities of our current world, is so important to
Yeah.
really spread and amplify this kind of work, a real focus on thriving.
Yeah.
That is very near and dear to my heart. I love it.
Yeah. I love it so much. So, Renee, in this crazy time that we're living in right now, what does it really mean to thrive as human beings on this planet?
Yeah, that is a great question. The way that we hold thriving is it's those times when you feel internally well resourced. Internally
Mhm,
can be you, the person, you, the team, you, the organization. But I'm going to use
mhm,
the word internally. You feel internally well resourced to meet your complexities and demands, to really handle them with a
mhm,
sense of vitality, a growth mindset, a
mhm,
sense of competence. So for us thriving, yes, it's important to look at the whole person, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual well-being, all of the human being, but um, to do that in a way that is getting results in the world that are of positive impact for people in the planet. So for us, thriving isn't just about an individual. It's always about how do we use our life energy? How do we use our leadership power in a way that is producing positive impact that's uplifting people and uplifting the planet?
I love this so much because I coach in a way, a similar way with entrepreneurs, right? Where I'm working with entrepreneurs, but it's with starting with the person and helping them be their best so that they can go create impact in the world.
For sure.
So it's just, I mean, that alignment just feels, just so true for me. And so I love that that's your focus. And what a wonderful place to be doing this within corporations, because I think, I came out of the corporate world many years ago, and, having a healthy environment to be in was not really what happened where I
Mm.
was, unfortunately, especially, I mean, in some of my companies over the years, it was, but in the end, there was the company's health was, financially great, but the environment didn't create for thriving environments for individuals. And
It's interesting because that's been true for a lot of companies.
mhm,
And
mhm,
now there is some really wonderful, we just learn more. We learn more.
yeah,
Companies can evolve. We evolve as people. We evolve kind of how we're thinking about this. And there's now some really great studies that show that if you put 100 companies together that are really focused on building a culture of thriving, of
mhm,
resilience, of well-being, that
mhm.
really put people in the center and really care about people, they will perform better than the S&P 500.
Oh, I so
So
believe that.
we didn't have that data before, but now there's really wonderful studies that actually show this. So I think, when I think about the trajectory of my career being now a longer career in this
Mhm,
field,
mhm.
um, we are become it's a movement of consciousness about what the role of a leader is, an effective
Yeah.
leader, not being someone who is in control. And for those of you listening to the podcast, I'm using air quotes, in control, to
Mhm.
someone who sees themselves as creating that kind of environment where people can show up at their best. That's very different than being in control.
Totally.
From in control to bringing out the best in people. But there's also been a shift in how organizations start to see their purpose. That, 40 years ago, organizations would have said, my purpose is making money. That's why I exist, is
Mhm,
making money. And
mhm.
now we've seen that movement over the decades of some of the best organizations, the places people want to work, see that their purpose goes, money is a facilitator to a much greater purpose
Mhm.
of uplifting people in the planet in some way, and those organizations can do that in their own unique way. So there's something, a higher purpose. You mentioned doing that work with the individual. How do you
Mhm.
get entrepreneurs? How do you get nonprofits? How do you get communities? How do you get for-profit organizations to realize there's something that transcends just
Mhm.
being effective, just being efficient, just making money? And that thing
Yeah.
that transcends, such as purpose, is one of those
Mhm.
things,
Right.
is why people want to get up in the morning and give their life energy to their jobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. So tell us a little bit more about how leaders are evolving. I mean, I know it's starting with, a different way of leading, but give us a little bit more insights into what that actually means when people are going through your work. How do they evolve as individual leaders?
What I notice the most, because we've worked with, we have an assessment tool that looks at 19 different factors linked to thriving and stress
Cool.
resilience and growth as a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And what I noticed that assessment has been used for awareness and development of about 4,000, a little more leaders over the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what I notice across the board is that when leaders are taking good care of themselves, just like you mentioned when you're working with the entrepreneur, when
Mm-hmm.
leaders are really focused on their own vision and purpose beyond the organization, when their own thriving, their own well-being, their
Mm-hmm.
own life and work practices that help them stay balanced, self-regulated, etc., they are better at creating those environments for others. So
Yeah.
what I just said is, when we're in an airplane and the people that are supporting us on that airplane, the stewardess, the stewards, when they say put your oxygen mask on first before you
Mm-hmm.
put the oxygen mask on someone else,
Right.
that principle we really do see often that
Nice.
you have to. As someone in the role of manager, you are always radiating something, and
Mm-hmm.
so you have to consider, what am I radiating? And if you're not taking care of yourself, you're often radiating fear and stress and reactivity. And that affects people naturally. It just naturally creates
Absolutely.
an environment that's hard to
It
work in,
does.
harder to work in.
Yeah.
So definitely notice that. I think I also notice that when people start to take care of themselves, there is a natural tendency to start to care for other people and to care for the planet in a
Yeah.
way that they weren't as conscious of. And that's all of us. We are all on this journey of life, and we
Mm-hmm.
get these opportunities to become more conscious and more aware of the consequences of who we are and how we show up in our actions. So when people start to really take care of themselves in a very deep way, I'm not talking about
Yeah.
superficial wellness practices. I'm talking a very deep self knowledge, there's a natural desire to want to support the well being, the growth of other people and our
Mm-hmm.
planet. So, those
Yeah.
are two big shifts that I
Huge
see.
shifts. I mean, if you think of, the more people that really step into self-care and care of those around them and care of the planet, all three, that changes everything for our world. I mean, just talk about the trajectory of our world changing.
It
So,
does. And I
yeah.
think this kind of work, I'm so glad there are people like you and people like me and people, many more of us around the world that really um, do this kind of work, have made it
Mm-hmm.
our life's path to do this kind of
Mm-hmm.
work,
Mm-hmm.
feel a deep calling to do this kind of work
Yeah.
because our world, yeah, as you said, in this crazy making time, our world needs it. Our world
Yeah.
needs it right
Yeah.
now. And it's become very apparent how much our world needs it.
Yeah. I love that. I'm just going to go back to the studies because I'm just so thrilled that there's actual studies that are proving that companies are doing better. Who did the studies? Do you know who?
Yeah, I do. The University of Oxford Center for Wellbeing.
Okay.
One of our colleagues, Juan Emmanuel Deneve, and his
Mm-hmm.
team there are fabulous, 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 first rate, top notch researchers. And they have been tracking this. And about 5 years ago, they put together a collection of 100 companies that were absolutely committed to the well-being of their people. That was, well-being integrated into their purpose, their values as a system, their culture and operational practices, and
Mm-hmm.
they mapped them and matched them against the S&P and other indices around the world.
Wow.
And consistently, this group of companies, this 100, you and I would have wanted to have invested in them.
That's what I'm thinking. Is like that's a group that I want to invest in. That's for sure.
Exactly, because these are people that realize making money is inseparable.
Yeah.
Sustainable profit is inseparable from taking care of people in the planet. It's inseparable.
Yeah. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
it. So the what's the day to day look like for to build that thriving life? So when you think of your clients like changing up how they live day to day, what's the practical things that they're doing to start to make these kind of shifts for themselves and their companies?
Yeah, that is a great question. Every leader, every team is going to be different, but let's just talk about some individual leaders
Mm-hmm.
first. Well,
Mm-hmm.
first off, the assessment, when they take this assessment looking at these different factors, it actually points them to areas of potential for them.
Okay, nice.
So it actually points them in a direction. But even if it points them in a direction, we always say when we're doing coaching work with them, go in a place that you are most motivated to move toward. So as a person's listening to this right now, they can actually think about what's an area of my life that if I'm really honest with myself, I know that I'd really like to have more time with friends. I don't
Mm-hmm.
actually spend that much time with friends. So we know from the science that we need many hours per week in
Mm-hmm.
a social life with
Mm-hmm.
friends. It doesn't have to be a huge network of friends. It can be one or two really good friends, but we
Right.
need these outlets of support from our
Mm-hmm.
family and friends that are healthy for us. Those are rejuvenating and regenerative in our life.
Yeah.
So you can ask, what's an area of my life? Maybe it's movement in life,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
a physical exercise habit, whether it is a just not sitting at the computer all day, just literally
Right.
having a moment where you say, I'm going to put the timer on, and now I'm going to get up every hour for 5 minutes and
Yeah.
just move. Sleep. For a lot of
Oh
leaders, it
yeah.
is, yeah, I'm grinding all day, but my sleep is atrocious. I
Mm-hmm.
do not show up to my day feeling restored. Sleep is an issue for me personally, by the way, and
Is it?
I'm not someone who grinds all day, but
Uh-huh.
I am naturally a light sleeper. So I have
Oh.
to think about what are the things I need to do to really ensure as much as I can to create the conditions where I will sleep well tonight.
Yeah.
Getting
What
to
are the
bed on
habits you take each night
yeah,
that lead
going
up
to
to
have
that?
same time, not reading digital sources right before bedtime, looking at the lighting, making sure it's dark in the room, making sure it's cool in the room. These are all things that science tells us, but I know from personal practice.
Right.
These are things that
Right.
really help me sleep well.
Yeah.
So those are just a few. Awe practices, when we look at all across our data, um, awe and appreciation tend to be some of the highest performing. When people practice
Mm.
that,
Mm-hmm.
they find more moments of well-being and sense of self-regulation in their day.
Mm-hmm.
And awe sounds like such a big thing. I go to the
Oh,
Grand
I
Canyon
love it. It
and
can
then
be
I
so
feel
small. Yeah.
it can be just a moment of I noticed how well. For me, I love to cook. For me, watching a greens, so like chard and kale and spinach and whatever that I'm cooking, watching this whole load of greens shrivel down while it's cooking down to this tiny little bit, I just for some reason just watching that process am in awe. And I know how it happens scientifically, but I still find it awe-inspiring that, oh my gosh, this was like a bag of greens, and
Yeah.
it goes down to about a cup, and it's so nutrient rich and it's so gorgeous. The whole color changes, the texture changes, everything. Walking outside and noticing the sky,
Yeah.
noticing having a moment with a neighbor. So they are so simple. It's about paying attention.
Yeah, it's so I often will go through a little phase where I will post on social moments of awe, hashtag moments of awe.
Beautiful.
And I'll try to do those like, I'll find a time period that I want to do it for.
Yeah.
And I love to do that because it's like every day there's just something that you can, find that is really awe filled, if you will. And, it can really just that pause and that acknowledgement of awe, I think is just a beautiful thing.
It is, and it doesn't take any more time.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't take you any more time to do that. What it takes is awareness. It
Yeah.
takes an intention that I'm going to really notice the good. I'm going to notice the beautiful. I'm
Yeah.
going to notice, and what the good and the beautiful is to you is going to be totally different.
Yeah.
I'm going to notice what inspires me, what brings me this sense of awe and appreciation. So that kind of noticing, the act of noticing, first off, the act of sharing it does
Yeah.
something for other people. Now you've just
Yeah.
amplified that moment for others.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a leadership action. is that
Oh,
amplification.
yay.
Yeah. But that noticing and the sharing also does something for you, your physiology.
Yeah.
It
I mean,
supports
yeah, the
your
energy, how we're showing up, it changes how we feel. So,
and at a physiological level, it changes what's happening in your body.
mm,
So that's the beautiful thing about these practices
yeah,
is they're not just about doing something good for others. The doing good for others also does good for you
yeah.
in a
So it
real big.
starts with us. I mean, it starts with us taking care of ourselves. What are the skill set leaders of thriving companies and environments? What are the skill sets they need to bring to the table?
Yeah, we have mapped out about 7. So I don't know if you want to go through all 7, but I'll mention a couple, and then if
Yeah.
anyone is interested, we can make a link, and
Hmm.
I'm happy to share this map with
Okay.
anyone else. One of the first ones on the list is the movement from transactional forms of leadership to
Mm,
transformational. And that's what we were talking
mm,
about earlier, which is this movement from transaction, meaning, okay, if I'm working with you, I see you as a thing for me to do
hmm,
something with. It's a
hmm.
utilitarian form of leadership. You're a transaction. This
Right.
relationship with a client is just a transaction. This
Hmm.
relationship with a teammate is just a transaction, or an employee is just a transaction. To move from that mindset, which often we don't realize we were schooled in or
Hmm.
socialized in or
Hmm.
enculturated in, but
Hmm.
to really become aware of where we do that and to shift to a more transformational that, way of leading, which is more about how can we, given this team and this unique set of diverse talents and experiences and backgrounds and human beings
Hmm.
that are not ever static. They are becoming. They're always growing and learning.
Hmm.
How can we create results together in a way that we could not do alone? How can we bring out the best in each other? That is a transformational question. Just that
Right.
alone. What does it
Right.
mean for us to thrive together as
Right.
we produce results that we need to produce? What does it mean to bring out the best in each other? If every team
Yeah.
member shows up that way, that is a transformational. So that shift is already a big one.
Hmm.
Another shift would be from individual leadership to collective empowerment, to collective leadership,
Mm.
knowing that everyone, the old model was that if you were the manager, you were the leader. Now we know there's the role of the manager, but everyone can be a leader.
Yeah.
Everyone has the power to show up in ways and to put practices in place in ways that supports a thriving work environment.
Right. I
Everyone
so
has
agree with
the
that.
choice. Yeah, everyone has the choice to show up as well as they can. Everyone
Right.
has that choice, and that is a leadership stance. So, how do we have everyone own the purpose of
Hmm.
our organization or our team? How do we have everyone own the vision? We don't just, as the manager, create a vision and then tell everyone this is what it is.
Right.
We engage people and we enroll people in these conversations so that they own it.
Yeah.
How do we become the kind of manager that all the communications don't have to come through us,
Hmm.
or all the decisions don't have to come through us, but we are sharing the responsibility and accountability for how we show up?
Yeah.
So, and for what we accomplish. So that's a huge shift.
I love
So
that one too because it's so I on occasion I will lead teams with, and I don't know if you know this about me, but I do equine assisted coaching, and I will lead groups through leadership retreats with my horses. And
beautiful.
yeah, and it's really powerful to start looking at leadership through the eyes of a horse because um, it's exactly what you're saying is everyone gets to be a leader and everyone has roles, and you can really when you bring a team into a pen around an arena with horses, you start to see the dynamics of the team start to unfold and come to life,
Mhm.
and letting everyone learn about what's their role on that team as a leader is such a beautiful thing. And I love that question because it can really shift the way that teams play together because they become more aware of how things are showing up.
Yeah,
So
and I
yeah,
love that you do that with horses.
yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
there's such a big energy, a big being
Mm-hmm.
there, big
Mm-hmm.
energy,
Yep.
but there's all this conversation and communication that's happening that
Yeah.
some of which we can witness and some of which we can intuit. So I
Yeah.
love that you're doing that.
Yeah.
You made
Yeah.
me think of like the third shift, and that's a
Yeah.
shift from more um, more siloed thinking to more
Mm-hmm.
systems awareness. Really, because you mentioned you start to notice how this system works, this group
Yeah.
of people, or this group of
Yeah.
horses, or
Yeah.
this family system, or this,
Mm-hmm.
you start to see that there is very little that we do, very little. I can't think of anything actually that we do that we actually do alone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even if I'm like publishing an article, let's say I'm
Right.
publishing an article on something,
Yeah.
and the thought, in my mind, the thought is coming through me. The
Right.
truth is, we are always building off the great work and insights that other people have had before us, the scientists, the practitioners, so there's nothing that we do alone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when we can start to understand that and understand and sense into the system, what's happening in a system, and
Mm-hmm.
then also look for how the system can synergize, how people can truly synergize with each other. That
Mm-hmm.
is a different capability.
Yeah.
That sensing in and listening to at a deeper level. That's
And
a real
seeing
different
what that
capability.
system is, actually acknowledging and discovering what that system is, because people can be very blind to that. I'm guessing.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally,
Yeah.
totally. We all can be blind to it. We all can
Yeah.
be blind.
Exactly. Exactly.
I can tell you for sure that I can walk into my own family system, and most of us, I think there's some great studies about this, that within, I think it was 12 minutes, any of us who think that we are really educated adults and we've been thinking about this and we've been doing our personal work, and within 12 minutes, we will act in our role as a child when we go back into our, so I mean, let's just acknowledge that we're all human beings
Yeah.
and that we're all learning.
Yeah.
We're
And
all
how
learning.
easy it is to like just fall back into those old patterns and
All those old
be
patterns,
oblivious to it all.
they're all right there, just waiting to be tapped into and we also always have the capacity for change,
Yeah.
always have the
Yeah.
capacity. We're never stuck.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you'll have to give us all 7 of those so that everybody can get those and we can put those into the show notes.
I'm
Um,
happy to do that. I'm happy to do
yeah,
that.
that would be awesome. So you've worked with some major brands like Nike and Coca-Cola, and a lot of our listeners today are solopreneurs and smaller boutique businesses. What can business owners take from those larger company transformations and apply in their own business?
That's a great question. Because I'm an
Hmm.
entrepreneur as
Sure.
well.
Yeah,
For the last 26
absolutely.
years, so I have a small organization and have to, as much as I can, practice what I preach. I would
Hmm.
say getting clear about your purpose. I
Hmm.
know, Amy, that's work that you do.
Hmm.
So it's great to have you as a resource for that
Hmm.
kind of purpose work,
Hmm.
because that is so important, not just to help people um, um, get inspired by why your team, it's usually a smaller team, is showing up for work, but when
Hmm.
things get challenging, the purpose is the thing that helps ground you. When things
Hmm.
get crazy, when things
Yeah.
get difficult, when things get hard, it's returning and reconnecting to your purpose reminds you why you exist. So
Right.
purpose is the answer to the question, why do we exist? Why do we uniquely exist?
Right.
So that vision, getting clear about what results do we want to create?
Hmm.
What do we want to create together? And
Hmm.
these two sound like simple things, but for most organizations, big or small, they
Yeah.
take some reflection.
Oh, they definitely
They really
take reflection.
to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Right now, so most of our work is with large companies, but right now we're doing a very unique project with 3 nonprofits in the Pikes Peak region.
Hmm.
It has been a joy for me personally to be doing this work because, and I bring this up because there are smaller
Hmm.
organizations as well.
Hmm.
It's a joy to do the work because right now, in our country, they are feeling under threat. They're feeling kind of an
Mm,
existential crisis
hmm.
because we are starting to roll back some of the funding at the governmental level for nonprofits that they were receiving.
Yeah, yeah.
So our work with them is to help them um, think through what scenarios could occur. Everything from you're not going to exist anymore to
Hmm.
wait a minute, this may be an opportunity to rethink why you're
Hmm.
here, what
Hmm.
your vision is,
Hmm.
and the first two things I just mentioned to you. But the third would be and how you will resource each other. All three of them support our most vulnerable populations: people who are unhoused, immigrants, people who are not getting adequate nutrition, etc. So that's
Mm,
very vulnerable people.
yeah,
And all
totally.
three organizations are doing that work, but don't necessarily always know about the work of each other. And so I bring this up because, especially for small organizations,
Hmm.
like people in your audience, like my own company, like your company, we can be resourcing each other in ways that that would be another big mindset shift, by the way,
Right.
to the thriving leadership, which is the old model is dog eat dog. It's a zero sum
It's all
game. It's zero
competition. Yeah, yeah,
competition.
yeah,
And the shift is, wait a minute, nature already tells us that the world is abundant. Nature
exactly.
thrives. Nature
Hmm.
thrives. It tells us that the world is abundant. And we know from kind of the world itself that if you are that there is plenty of work to go
Hmm.
around. Let me say it that
Hmm.
way. There's plenty of
Hmm.
work to do.
Yeah.
So why not support each other?
And
Why not
lift each
support each
other up, right? And
lift
let the
each other up?
brain trust build each other up. And I so agree with that. You're speaking my love language on this for sure.
Brain trust, heart trust,
Right.
purpose trust,
Yeah.
wisdom trust. Like I would say,
Yeah.
wisdom trust.
Mm.
Let's be a source of energy and uplift and wisdom for each other. There is in the complexities, the issues that we're dealing with today, no one person has the answer. There
Yeah.
is no fix to the complexities we're dealing today. There is intelligence and wisdom we can draw on to create new solutions. So we need each other. We
Yeah.
really need each other. And we can be lifting each other. So I bring this group of nonprofits as an example because that is what they're looking at is how do we be a source of upliftment and growth and resource, true resource for
Right.
each other. And they are being funded by three foundations that believe in them.
Awesome.
So we've created this very collaborative model in the face, which already in the face of what they're dealing with, this existential threat to their
Hmm.
purpose
Yeah.
and to their funding, already has so much goodness to it in the way
Yeah.
that they're responding.
Yeah.
So yes, I think every small organization can start to
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, it's got my brain going in all kinds of good ways. It's interesting because I was part of the Colorado Women's or the Women's Foundation of Colorado, excuse me,
Yeah.
as
Oh
part of
yeah.
their board
Wonderful.
for yeah, a wonderful organization, and we funded lots of nonprofits over the years, and we would put together a cohort of like 20 to 25 nonprofits each year to take them through this journey together, and what they would learn from each other was fabulous because they might one group might be really good at the fundraising, another might be really good at something different, and that cohort definitely learns from each other. So I love that you're doing this, and especially on the topics that you're talking about. It just feels really impactful for what our world needs right now.
Well, and I think this is, to me, the kind of underlying um, motivation is I really believe that this is how we're going to create a better world,
Yeah.
is that we're going to do it together. We're going to have more innovative, collaborative resourcing models to
Hmm.
make positive change. And yeah, so I think especially for small organizations, large organizations often have so many internal resources that sometimes I think that can get in their way because they're not
Yeah.
thinking as broad.
Yeah.
Small organizations, we have to be scrappy
Yeah.
because we're smaller organizations. And so sometimes that scrappiness is exactly what helps us be really creative and innovative and start to um, look outward, not stay in a siloed model, but really start to look out and see, oh, wait a
Mm.
minute, who can I be partnering with?
Yeah.
And create some genuine partnerships like that.
Mm. So
Yeah.
good. So good. Oh, I could go on and having this, continuing this conversation because I love everything you're saying. Where can people learn more about you and your company, and just where's the best place to find you?
There are a couple places. One would be our website, wisdom-works.com. So
Mm-hmm.
wisdom-works.com. My
Mm-hmm.
email, feel free to email me if you want, any resources. We have a ton of just resources we give away on the website because that's part of our mission
Mm-hmm.
is to spread this kind of thinking. But if you want to email me, it's Renee, Renee, at wisdom-works.com. And then I'm on LinkedIn as well.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then the final question I always close with is, what are three pearls of wisdom you want to leave us with today?
I don't know if I have three,
Okay.
but I do have one
Okay.
that I really thought about this, and here's one that that I feel like we need to hear a lot right now, and that is
Mm,
that each of us already has the innate capacity to thrive. We already have
yeah.
the innate capacity to thrive. It's easy to say that and to think that intellectually and go, oh, yeah, 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 I buy that. But to live our lives, to really acknowledge and honor this incredible, marvelous collection of cells and bones and organs and spirit and energy that comes together to make you you, that
Mm-hmm.
already has the capacity for learning and growing and awe and appreciation, that already has the capacity to move and to rest. I mean, that puts me in a state of awe just thinking
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
And so, from that place of wonder, I hope that reminds people of how really innately powerful each person actually is to affect
Mm-hmm.
change, not only in their own life, but in the lives of the people around them and the lives of the people they serve. So that would be my one pearl, I
Hallelujah.
guess.
I like it. I like it. Renee, this was so much fun. Thank you for joining me today and sharing all your good wisdom, and keep doing the good work. I mean, I always say that women's wisdom is the medicine our earth needs right now, and you're truly leading it. So thank you for all the work you're doing.
Well, thank you for the invitation, and thank you for all the work you're doing. I
Yeah.
had an opportunity to listen to some of the other podcasts, and you are really supporting an amazing network of people, and we need it. We need it.
Mm, thank
So
you so
thank you.
much. Have a good day.
You too.